my channel. I'm Mags and you are watching A&Me. So I have 3 children and my middle son Reese is autistic. So what I talk about is how we work as a family due to his differences and his autism, and how we parent differently and all those strategies that we've learned. So if you want to learn more about what we do and experience what we do differently, please ensure you subscribe and follow to hear the rest of our stories. So Reese has just finished in primary school, and that's in year 6, and in September he'll be moving on to high school. So what I want to talk about today is how we have made that happen, how he has got the right placement in the high school special educational needs provision. What I'm going to talk about is the process you have to go through. And even though we're moving to high school, a lot of it is very similar if you're looking to move the educational placement where they are in school, your child, into a new provision. So I'll tell you about those differences at the end of the video. We live in Wales, so how things work here are slightly different to England and Scotland, but in regards to England, they are very similar. So if you're watching from a different country, I'd really like to know how it works for you. Is it more difficult? Is it a different process? Is there something we can understand and maybe feedback somewhere to make things different? So please let us know down in the comments below. So in Wales, we have an IDP, or Reese has an IDP. So that's an individual development plan. Now that's pretty much the same as what you get in England, which is the educational health and care plan. The only difference really is that in Wales, the IDP is used for anyone who's got additional needs. So you could be in mainstream school and have an IDP stipulating your care or educational needs. Whereas what I understand in England with the education, health and care plan, that is only for children who have specialist needs within a more severe setting, in a specialist educational setting. So the very first process, or the very first step that we go through, and this happens around October, is you have to still apply for a place at high school for your child through the normal means. So that's within the mainstream school process. And the reason for that really is if your child does not get into a specialist provision, or if their needs aren't to that extent, they have a placement within mainstream for you. So all the dates I speak about in this video, please make sure that you check with your local authority, because they can change, and please don't go by the dates I'm saying. But in Wales, and last year, which was when Reese was in year 5, we had to submit that high school provision in about October. So you would be able to go look at high schools. They normally happen in September, a bit of an open day, open evenings, and you can make a decision of where you want to apply for that side of the process. So for us, we applied for the local high school. It was a little bit of a joke for us because Reese would never cope in mainstream. He's been in a special education needs provision in a autism base unit for all of his primary school education through those years, but we still had to do it. So we put down the local high school. You're asked to put down about 5 different choices. We just put down one, put it through the process, and tick that box. Then it comes on to the part that's most important. So that special educational needs provision, and it's a whole different process. Again, what I would definitely recommend, like we did, go and see the schools and the different facilities that your child can go to. So it was only a handful for where we live, so you can actually do that a year before that time comes up. The schools normally put on some sort of open day ability to go see that school and ask all your questions. So you can actually do that when your child is a year past that and don't have to wait till they are in year 5 to do that. But what I would recommend is making sure you write down your questions and you don't go by the inspection report. Go by what your child needs. So ask those particular questions of the school so you can get comfortable. A school that is very high and amazing on the inspection report may not be right for your child. So make sure you get what's right for your child. Then for us in about October, Reese's IDP meeting, so that's the Individual Development Plan meeting, might be known as your EHCP meeting in England, or your annual review, that meeting that you normally have with the school, and all of those professionals that care and look after and support your child, that annual review is pulled forward so that it aligns with that process for that educational submission for your child. So this is in year 6, very beginning of year 6, you do this for your child, and ours was held in about October. And part of that meeting is just updating the IDP in regards to us in Wales. So that's everything about your child. Everything was put in there about Reece, about his needs, his cares, his successes, his targets, what he's got. And what's put into that IDP paperwork is any supporting material. So in our case, we didn't have a lot, but we had a psych report that went in there. We had his diagnosis letters, so he's got autism diagnosis as well as ADHD diagnosis. But they could also be in regards to OT reports, they could be speech and language reports, or anything that you feel needs to support that documentation for your child. So in Wales, that is submitted, we sign it off, and that is the pack that goes forward to the educational panel to determine the educational setting for Reece, as it was for his high school provision. In addition to that, we got a form. So we had to fill out a form, basic personal information, but we also had to put a load of stuff in there that I felt really duplicated that IDP. So that was about his care needs, what he was able to do about himself, where those challenges were, and any other information us as a parent wanted to put on that form. And this is your first opportunity after doing all those school visits and getting comfortable and getting that feeling about where you want your child to go. It is the first opportunity in this process to stipulate where that must be. So there will be a form with a comments box, and make sure you put it on there very clearly, the school that your preference is. Now, unlike the mainstream submission for schools, where you actually put down, as I said before, 5 preferences where you'd like your child to go, the special educational needs process or provisional process does not really give you that opportunity. So try and make sure that you put it clearly on the form wherever you feel is possible. And in essence, that is the process. So the IDP with that form and all the supporting information goes into the council, into the educational department, and they assess that, and they go to panel and they look at your child's needs and they determine the right educational placement for your child. Now, that's pretty scary because all they're getting is this bunch of information. That's all they've got. They've never met your child. They just have what you've written on paper, and in theory, that's the only information that you can submit to allow your child to get the best setting that they need and the best opportunity to develop them. So I've got 2 more tips for you that we did to make sure that my son had the best placement. So firstly, what you want to do is you want to find out who in your council, in our case, was known as the Parent Liaison Officer. Now, it might be known as something different, but basically try find out who a person is in that department, in that council, that you can email additional information to. So we were really lucky. We were able to get the name of the person and the email address from our school, from Reece's school. And with that, I wrote an email, very short, kept it very professional, and just stated the actual school I'd like Reece to go to and a couple of reasons why. Now, this just aids that application. So in order to find that out, speak to your schools, go on to different social media groups within your area, ask them if they know anyone in that council position. Also, go to your social worker and ask different support groups you're in. Try find out, or even search websites to try find any email address, and keep your email professional that you just want to get that additional information across. And the other tip I have, write to the school. Quite easy. Go get the email address off their website. And again, very short, very professional email. Tell them that you've seen the school, what your child's needs are, and why you feel they will fit into that school setting. You're not going to lose anything by doing this, but what you are going to do is you're going to make your child even more of a human to those different government parties. And then when they see those list of names, it will trigger in their minds. So it just gives you that extra ability to do that. And that's how the process works. So all of that has to go in by the December of the year they're in year 6. And in Wales, we find out around March whether they are successful into that setting. And by doing what I've just done and spoken you through, we got the right setting for Reese. Now, a little bit of an add-on to this, the process is pretty much exactly the same if you want to move your child from one school, one educational setting to another. Definitely in Wales, we did at the very beginning of Reese's education when we moved him out of mainstream into an autism base. So what we did, again, you got to get your IDP or EHCP in England updated. So that's correct. And in that meeting, you can stipulate that you want to look for a new educational provision for your child. That again goes with all the documentation, exact same way I described, goes to panel, find ways to influence that by emailing those relevant parties, and then it will go to panel and you get a response as well. So I hope this has helped all those parents that are now going to move into that process to find their children either another setting or are moving into that high school next step for their child. Do everything you can. Do not let the process, do not just go by the process. Find other ways you can communicate with those parties. Get the best step forward for your child in their education. So hopefully this helped you. Please ensure that you follow my channel, subscribe below, leave those comments about how it works in your area, even if you're in a different country. Love to hear that. And make sure you follow me across all my other social media channels.